So what we've got going on for this week, you've got a couple of quizzes, one on parallelism, which you've got Bedford Handbook reading on, walk you through it, and then also a quiz on works cited format. There's also reading for that. It basically just takes you through all the different works cited entry formats and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to show you some things today that could be helpful, particularly for the works cited that you're going to turn in for Sunday. So this again is just to like make sure everything's formatted correctly, that you've got the appropriate sources moving forward, because you're going to turn in a full formal draft on by Thursday of next week. Then I'm going to give you feedback on it. You're going to make any necessary corrections, turn in the final draft by Sunday, get a good grade, everybody's happy. Hooray. So the way I do the feedback is I actually go through your draft in a video like this. I give you the link to the video, nobody else sees it, and I just take you through all the stuff. You watch it, you fix it, you're good. Works pretty well. Okay, so let's take a look at where all this stuff is. Boop. All right, so we're in module 4. We've got some lecture material. It's just a video on parallelism to help you for the quiz. And I wish it would just take me right back to the module. Oh well. The readings we just looked at are listed here as well. Again, they're just out of your Bedford Handbook. And then instead of having you, I mean, you need to like go through the works cited stuff, but it's not exactly something you can really read word by word. It's formatting uh, guidelines for all kinds of different works cited entries, which you really only need 2 of them, possibly 2 formats, not 2 entries. Maybe you need 2, maybe you need more. Depends on how many sources you use in your paper. And you can add more after doing this works cited page, just so you know. You're welcome to do that. But I've got some pages from your book that I have screenshotted that I'm going to go through with you in a minute so that you know exactly where you need to go in your book to get to the helpful stuff. But we'll come back to that in a second. Okay, I've got that video. If you want to use the library databases for the essay, and it's definitely worth just taking a look because the quality of the sources is going to be guaranteed to be good. I've got a video I made for y'all on how to do that. A couple of people have watched it, but if you haven't, at least watch it and just see. You know, you'll need it for later anyway. And a nice perk of using the databases is that the articles give you the works cited entry, so that can be a real time saver. You may have to make some tweaks to it, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. I've given you an example finished paper, which you can use as your formatting example for the works cited page. I'm going to take you through that as well. Not the whole paper, we're going to do that next week. But then you're going to turn in the works cited. Here are the particulars on that. Okay, so again, the sources need to meet the research requirements for the essay, which means that they need to be credible, professionally published, not, personal bloggy kind of stuff. So be careful or use the databases. So make sure that you're doing that. And then some formatting stuff, I'm going to walk you through that in a minute too. Here are the essay instructions again, if you need them for whatever reason. And then you're going to submit it as a Word doc or a PDF. And I will give you feedback on that. So with that, let's take a look. So the 2 pages in your handbook that you should mark, okay, go ahead and just pause this, go get your book and flip to page 339 and put a sticky note on it or flip the page down, dog ear it, that's what we always called it. Whatever you need to do, because you're definitely going to need this. Everyone's going to need this for the TED Talk that they picked. This is the format that we follow for anything that you got from the internet that wasn't through the library databases. So this is your catch-all format for all things internet source, whether it's a YouTube video, a TED Talk, just something that you found through Google, an article or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going to use this format. Okay. So I'm going to show you an example in a minute, but in this case, we're going to treat the speaker of the video as the author. So that information should be there at the video. So last name, comma, first name. Sorry, the picture quality is not great. I took it with my phone. The title of the video, right? So schools kill creativity, for example. That goes in quotation marks. Make sure you're following the same punctuation that they are. So when they use a comma, you use a comma. When they use a period, you use a period. Just do what they do. The name of the website in italics. We always italicize the name of websites. If you have a date of where it was posted, put up, last updated, whatever, that goes here in this format. Number, month abbreviated if it's a long month name, and then the year, comma, and then the URL, the actual web address, period, and then you're done. If you don't have, now the TED Talk should all have a date that it was posted, but if you use another source from outside of the databases and it does not give you any kind of copyright date or publish date or anything, which is kind of sketchy, honestly, then you skip this one here and then instead you put an access date on the end, accessed blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you only do the access date though if you don't have a date of publication. So like it says up here, if no update date on site. Okay. So that's the format and it'll look like this. So Robinson, comma, Sirken, period, do schools kill creativity, gives in quotation marks, name of the website, TED, which stands for Technology, Education, and Design, comma, the URL. Oh, we don't have a date there. I must have gotten cut off. Well, let's find it. What's the date? Oops. These have dates. I'll find it right now. I'm going to solve this mystery. 2006. So there should be a 2006. There we go. Fixed it. That's what yours should look like. I'm going to have to go back and retroactively doc the student point. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. But I am mad at myself for missing that. First go round. Okay, and then same thing with these. These were sources that he found through Google, so he's going to use the same format. In this case, there are two authors, so when you have that situation, you do last name, comma, first name, and then for the second author, you just put their name in the normal order, first name, last name. And then in the in-text citation, when you do the paper, it would be Bloom and Van Slyke-Briggs. Title of the article, website that it came from, date, URL. Same thing done up here. Okay, if you use a database source, which I encourage you to do, the format's a little bit different, but again, the article will give you the works cited entry. You just may need to make some adjustments to it because a lot of them don't do it entirely correctly. Why? I don't know. They just don't. A lot of times it's just stuff they just put extra stuff in there that you don't need and you got to take it out. Like they might put an access date on the end. They might put editor names. They might put all kinds of jazz that you don't need in there. You just take the stuff out. So just make yours look like this. Pretty similar to the other one. Author name or names, same kind of deal. Title of the article in quotation marks. Where it gets a little different though is that you got more what we call containers. So here's where you put like the original encyclopedia or journal or whatever, where it was originally published. If you have a volume and issue number, that goes here. The date that it was published, which should be on there. If not, again, you can do the access date, but it should be on there. And then the database name, so like global issues in context, opposing viewpoints in context, Credo reference, whatever you clicked on that A to Z list that I showed you in the other video on how to use the databases. The URL, the permalink given, again, all that should be either at a citation button or at the bottom of the article. If not, if you can't find it, let me know and I will help you figure it out. But it should be down there. So this is on page 328, another good page to mark because you are going to have to use database sources for essay 2 and 3. So go ahead and mark that one right now, 328. Okay, so the page itself, now you don't have to have this part up in the actual essays works cited page, but for what you're turning into me, you do. So your name, my name, the course, the date that you're turning it in, and then no extra spaces, just immediately underneath, right? Everything's double spaced. It's going to say works cited, not works citied, not work cited because you cited multiple works. This should be centered like any other title. Use the centering button and then skip down to the next line. Don't add any extra spaces. Just go right to the next one and then take the centering off. Okay. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. Take the centering off. Otherwise, you're going to have a centered works cited page and that's not correct. So put in your entries. They need to be in alphabetical order. Okay. And then everything's double spaced, no extra spaces between the entries. And then you need to set a hanging indent. Okay, so the way that you're going to do that, you can do them all at once if you want. Highlight don't use the tab button, okay? Highlight the text, right click on it, select paragraph, Up here it says indentation, special, go to the drop-down menu, it'll probably say none. Select hanging, okay? And everything should pop over. If it's not popping over, it means you've got some spacing issues with like the stuff in between in the entry. So go through and like take out extra spaces. That usually fixes the problem. Sometimes when it gets copy pasted over or whatever, that happens. Um, in terms of like using a citation generator, I mean, my thought on that is if I can't tell that you did it, then it must be a good citation generator. So what I don't know won't hurt me and it won't hurt you either. But it does happen where it's pretty clear that people are using citation generators and whichever one they're using is not doing things correctly and everybody's sort of wrong in the same way and that's pretty suspicious. So if you, I mean, I don't care if you use it as long as it's correct, but how are you going to know unless you check it against the handbook pages that I showed you? So, if they're wrong, you're wrong. Do you really want to trust your grade to a stranger? I wouldn't, but I guess I'm just not a very trusting person. Okay, so that you should make sure you have an entry for the TED Talk that you're going to be discussing in your paper for sure, and then at least one other source or any other sources you plan to use. And again, you can add more later if you need to, but I need to see a minimum of 2 entries in this works cited page you submit, one for the TED Talk and one for another source. But if you want to go ahead and put other ones in there too, go for it. Okay, so that should be all of it. Yeah, you know what you need to do. So go out and do it. And if you have any questions or need any help, let me know. Keep up the great work, everybody. I'll have your outlines. I'll have feedback for you on your outlines within the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that. All right, have a good week. Bye.